I'm going to go ahead and do the other half of this set. I'm not going to finish this part live with you because I'm going to start from the beginning. If you were just on my live, you saw all these steps. But ultimately, what we're trying to do, and this is really more specific for press-on nail artists, there's so many techniques for creating a jade marble. Many are gorgeous and useful, but it requires too many layers of the matte, the marble, then the matte, then the marble. And in the end, it's a really thick nail. That's okay if you're doing the thick nail directly on your nail because it's conforming and it's being built on your nail. But if you're doing a real thick press-on nail, that's adhesion to your own nail. It's not going to be a comfortable nail to wear. So we really want to balance the line between structure and durability with comfort and flexibility. So this technique, I think, enables us as press-on nail artists to achieve multiple layers of depth and dimension while still cutting it and editing it to not be such a thick-ass nail. All right, so let's start. This is the steps. I don't know if you had an opportunity to already do some nails with a base coat. So this is a base coat and it is cured. Angela, yes, actually I have thought about teaching online. I love teaching. In my previous life, I worked in banking while I was going through grad school. And while in banking, I was always that person who would be like training new people and making all the cheat sheets and all that. And then even after school, I thought, well, maybe I'll work as a professor, at a junior college or at a university. And I ended up having babies. So it's kind of difficult to be an anthropologist out in the field with children. So what's the best glue for press-on nails? It's a great question, and the answer is there really isn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Everybody's chemistry is different. And so a nail glue, as well as the thickness of your nail, your lifestyle. For me, the use of that IBD brush-on, what do they call it? Brush-on resin. IBD brush-on resin glue. That stuff holds. Holy crap, it holds really well. For me, my natural nails are really thin, and I find that hold to be too aggressive to the point where it makes it really challenging to remove my nails. So sorry, I'm walking you through this. So there's that first coat of alcohol ink that we're brushing directly onto that cured inhibition layer. And why are we not putting it over a layer of green? Because it's a way that I can sneak in this layer under another layer without, again, having to build up too many layers of gel just to create the same sort of depth. So I'm going to go ahead and use acetone that I put in a little damping dish and this brush. And on this, it doesn't have to be perfect. This first layer is going to create sharper lines with the kind of sharp puddling peripheral to that line. And so it's essentially like the veining is what we're creating here. We want to create the darker white veining that you're going to see in the jade stone. The other time, the next layer of ink that we use is going to be a more traditional technique. It's going to be done over matte. But I find that mixing these two techniques gives me two distinct styles of white that produces a more like organic looking nail. So see, you don't have to fuss with it too much. All right? Excuse me, I woke up super congested this morning, so I apologize for clearing my throat. Plus, I've been talking a shit ton right now, and my throat is dry now. So again, just creating a vein here. You don't have to worry about all this shadowing and creating too much of that. Sometimes if you want to make a really cool, like natural looking line, just flood it a little bit with a little bit more of your product. I use acetone. I don't even mix it with alcohol on this because, first of all, we're using gel, and it's, it's okay to use acetone on top of it. It's not going to eat the nail tip. It's not going to eat the layer. But also, because this particular alcohol ink, here's the irony, we mix it with alcohol, even 91%, it clots and gloops. Can this technique be used on rose quartz? Absolutely, it can be used on rose quartz. I don't use this technique with two different ink marbling techniques. I only use the one because the rose quartz color that I use is already opaque, so I don't need to do the inking with a matte coat. I'll do a live the next time I do a rose. It's very similar to this in that I first do the veining, then I do the sheer pink, then I do the veining, and then I do the sheer pink again. Whereas this one, I do the veining, then I do the sheer green, then I add the shadowing, and then I do inking, but I do it over alcohol, or I do it over matte. And I like to do that because it's a little bit more of a traditional technique. But for me, I find marbling is just so fussy. I get so damn fussy, and I seriously agonize over it more than necessary. Okay, so I want you to see, this is why I like inking directly over an inhibition coat. I don't know if you see this ghosting. So you get this cloudiness, but then these sharp little edges. And to me, it really mimics the veining that you would see in a stone. But a stone doesn't just have these strong veining. It also has the cloudy parts. And that's why the second layer of ink that we use is going to be done more traditional. Oh, you just ordered the Jade quartz. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Are you going to see the lapis? Lazuli nails? I don't know. What is that? You have to send me a picture. I'll see. Let me just scroll back, see if there's any questions so rose quartz seems simpler actually. Yes and no. With the rose quartz, it does, in the way that I do it, have a little bit less sort of steps, but that means that with the rose quartz, I do tend to agonize a little bit more over the inking process because I don't have the other step over it. And with rose quartz, again, I find that this is not a super literal interpretation of rose quartz. Even Jade, I like the clear nails. So I like them to be somewhat jelly and also somewhat opaque. So let's go back to this sample here. So see, we've got that clarity in the tip. We've got moments of clarity in here and even here. But I've kind of strategically created where at the smile line, I kind of diffuse that out by fogging and inking over that. So the wearer of this set can camouflage the smile line. There are techniques where you just do the whole solid color and then you ink. It's pretty and it's beautiful, but I don't find it to be as flattering of a nail color directly on people's skin. Okay, so we left off here. We did the base coat. We did the inking. We've got harder lines with some softer sort of puddling. And now we're going to trap that by curing it under a layer of this gel that I made. You can use a base coat, mix in a couple of your jellies. I mixed green and yellow to create this subtly green. It depends on what kind of green you want. So again, Jade comes in a myriad of colors, and you just choose what you like. It's like a blue stone. She's going to send me a picture of this stone that she'd like. Yeah, a lot of the stoning, marbling techniques that you see out there are gorgeous. But it's a multi 7 layers, 7 steps, and it's beautiful. But the reality is not all of that perfection is going to be appreciated or even seen in the nail, especially if you create a nail that's too thick. Oh, thanks. You can't stop looking at the nails that I'm wearing. I will say it's very atypical of me. I am such a plain Jane. In my own personal life, I am plain Jane. I am boring. I am shy when it comes to like fashion. My favorite personal colors are obviously black, white. I love chocolate brown. Olive green is really one of my favorite colors. It is my favorite color. It's been my favorite color forever. But I love earthy tones. So for me, I typically will do like an earthy natural colored nail on myself. Just like with my complexion, reds and jewel tones are like great on me, but they're not my personality. I just don't feel confident wearing red. To me, red isn't a color. It's like, it's a statement. Oh my God, I envy all you girls who can wear red. You're married, Jane? In life, yeah, that's totally, yeah, well, I'm plain Jane. Laganja's joining us. Laganja Estranja, Jay Jackson, oh my God. Jay, I adore you. I just adore you. Go check out Jay's, listen, if you download his song, or her song, Daddy, you will literally not stop playing it, oh my God. And I do. Thanks so much, Laganja. I feel like an alter ego. I feel like a badass bitch when I'm rolling in my car listening to Daddy. I really do. I feel like when I hear your song, I feel like I could wear red. But legit, Jay, you saw me. You met me. I am like charcoal, black, olive green all day, right? Plus, I'm an old bitch. My husband's like, you're not old. That's not old. I don't feel old. You know, it's when you, everybody in the world around you is getting older. You're like, oh shit. I think I might be getting old. Okay, so went ahead and put that clear. Yeah, it's super, super clear, right? And the reason why it's super clear is because we're going to be building all these layers. If you have it too opaque, you're not going to end up with a nail that's got some jelly parts in it. So let's go ahead and cure this. And then after this step is where we're going to create that depth and interest with kind of the movement of the different colors in Jade. Jade isn't just one straight green with white going through it. It's like green that fades into like a yellowy green, a lighter. So that's what we're going to create. You pick the green that you like. She's downplaying herself so hard. Such a fierce. Oh, you're so sweet. I adore you. I adore you, Jay. I really do. And what I will say is that, yes, I actually am a badass bitch. I am. Don't mess with me. I'm a badass bitch. However, my personal style in fashion doesn't really always reflect confidence. So I'm an undercover badass bitch. But if you've ever dealt with me, you know. You know. But in my heart, I can be a badass bitch, and I also can be a bitch. But I'm like a donut. I'm just jelly and sweet on the inside. Let's be real. By the way, anybody tuning in from Georgia, I really friggin' hope that you voted. I hope you voted. If you didn't, we'll give you a break to vote. All right, so I was just kind of trying to work on this other set. So here we are. It's already cured. This is the part where we are going to use if you have an ombre brush, if you have like a stippling brush, we're going to use those 3 different colors. I painted on a palette here, a bright green, an olive, and then this sagey bluish green, simply because it's got some white tones to it. The quartz is definitely going out of your comfort zone. Yeah, I get you. Listen, Jean, the anxious bean. That's darling, by the way. I actually would wear these. I'm plain Jane, but I would wear these. I'd probably be more inclined to wear them in the rose quartz. But I realize that I need to, if I'm not stepping out in my own personal, like what I wear, I should probably step out with my nails more. I'm way too damn practical, and I typically don't wear them just because I need to move quickly. And when I have gems and when I have longer nails, it's I don't get to move as quick, and I'm always hitting them when I file. So that's why press-on nails are the shit, because you can take them off and you can take them on. Okay, so let's add some of this blue. I don't know, sorry, I didn't kind of walk you through it. I'm adding some more color here. These are the opaque colors. And what this is doing is when we, hold on. Hey, babe, off. My dog is here, like trying to beg for love. It's so cute, but it's also not ideal right now. So we're gonna take right where these veins are off to the side of it. Some techniques, again, Dime Nails has some really amazing. She's kind of the OG, or she's really the professional at marbling. She has us do this step over the full nail to create a nail palette that has these interesting movement of colors, but it's less intentional, and it's perfect for applying directly onto someone's nails. But on a press-on nail, I think it just creates an extra step, an extra layer that's unnecessary, that ultimately, again, just specific to press-on nails, it creates too thick of a nail. So now, see, I have this nail that was like this plain, uninteresting nail. Just by adding some of that color, it adds some depth. But because it's intentional, I don't have to do a full layer of building the depth while creating too thick of a nail. So again, I'm going to pull some of that olive green, and I'm just going to kind of hug that marble. I don't want to go over that vein. I just want to kind of shadow it. Then I'll maybe pull some of the brighter green and do that up here. The idea is to make a nail that's got more visual interest by moving, while still for my goal for this set is thank you so much, Laganja. You're adorable. I adore you. Your art is seriously the shit. I think, Jay, you would be like, all of us, we want that alter ego, like where we dare to have the audacity to have that much confidence. Oh my gosh, I love it. I think that's why I love watching you so much. That, and I also know that Jay Jackson, the human, and the friend is also, while still a badass, different from Laganja Estranja. And I admit I adore both. I adore you, Jay, and I also really, really love Laganja. So thank you. And thank you for always being so gracious and tagging me. I really appreciate it. So yeah, again, if you don't already follow Laganja, you're really missing out on some great content. And Laganja's on so many different platforms. I don't even know how do you keep up with life? Oh my God, girl, you are like everywhere doing everything. Muse Me Mondays, Misters, you do Misters and Marys, is it? Marys and Misters. But at any rate, so many different platforms, YouTube, and you have to tell me Twitch, how that Twitch works. I don't really know how that works. Anything wearing them, owning them, I think that you could rock anything. Oh, thank you, Laganja. I could rock red, and I've done it a couple times, and it's amazing. But again, I think red is not a color. It's a statement to me. I know you do. I know you appreciate it, and I really appreciate it. Those 4 different colors on your palette, it's actually, it's not 4 different colors. It's actually 3, and I'm lame. I was really quickly prepping, and I just threw some colors, and this is redundant here. This is olive green, and that is olive green. But so we have a sage green, an olivey yellow, and then like a true green. Again, you choose what greens you like, because when you go through pictures, you'll see Jade is it comes in so many different colors. I'm sure that some colors are more preferred, or how would I say, more expensive, but We're just going for color and looks and preference. So I've built all these, and see, this one even has a little bit more bluey sage and green, and this one has more yellow. And that's really what you want. You don't want every single nail to look exactly the same. Am I going to save this IGTV? I don't know. Should I? Can you handle hearing my voice over and over again? Anybody else cringe when they hear their own voice, or cringe when you're like, oh my gosh, did I say that? Is that how I said that? If you'd like, maybe I'll save it, I'll watch it, and if I cringe back at myself too much, I might delete it. I'm like those young girls who are like, might delete later. Okay, so these I'm going to go ahead and cure. And again, it could be a flash cure for 30 seconds because it's not a big full layer. It's really a thin layer. And directly over that, we're going to use our other technique of marbling over a matte top coat. I'll show you again the matte top coat that I use. I use Creation. Not only are they, the nail supply that I go to is close by. I live in Orange County, and they're in Orange County as well in Westminster, so I can easily access it there. You just don't listen. You'll listen for you. You're so sweet. I also like lacked, though. Lack is a great top coat for matte when you're putting it over a dark color. What I find about this matte top coat is it doesn't have like that white opacity that will kill a dark nail. So I like this over dark colors. I like this one. This is so deep and velvety that it really actually isn't good for marbling, because it's so deep and velvety that when you use your alcohol inks or when you use your inks, it legit stains, and you got to work those edges really hard. So that's why I don't use lacked for marbling. Sorry, lacked. I think you're amazing, but not for marbling. I like this one for marbling because it, by the way, OPI is terrible. OPI has got the worst matte top coat. Sorry, OPI, but it's super thin. It's just, no. But this one I like. It's got a little bit of that velvety depth. It doesn't yellow. And it's really easy to move product around on. Jean the Anxious Bean says, me too. Sounds like a pain in the butt. What part? The marbling? So real quick, we're going to matte top coat these. Let me just kind of re-explain the layers. Remember, we started with our base coat, cured directly over that. We inked and we moved that around for a hard vein, a more sharp vein. Okay? And then we went ahead and put our clear green directly over that marble, cured it. We just finished the last step, which is adding some depth and dimension by hugging along those darker veins. And all the nails have this sort of directional movement. This next step with a more traditional method of inking over matte is going to be in the other direction. So we're not really trying to create like that triangle or that diamond look of rose quartz. Rose quartz veins tend to be like real diamond shaped. We're not really doing that, but for me to organize it in my brain as steps, I always go one direction here and then the second layer the other direction. So that first layer of that ink is a more sharp line. The second layer of ink is more diffused. It's going to be a little bit milkier, it's going to be a little bit softer, and it's going to provide a little bit of opacity to the nail. We've already kind of built the opacity by adding those 3 different colors in whatever order, whatever location you want, but it's adding a little bit. You don't want to cover all those areas though. You still want to keep some clarity. Well, I don't know, maybe you don't, but that's the whole purpose for me of using the clear jelly one, is so that when your client is wearing these, or when you, my client, is wearing these. When you hold them up to the light, you will then see through them and you'll get to see all these beautiful, interesting layers. And it's just, to me, it's more flattering as opposed to like a straight out green nail. The lac top coat and the OPI, sound like a pain in the butt. Yeah. Well, the OPI, to me, the OPI does not yellow. It doesn't yellow. It does cure in 1 minute, and I do like that. But to me, it doesn't have that rich matte feel. To me, it just looks like kind of like a dirty nail. It doesn't look, it looks like a cloudy nail or like a nail that wasn't cured properly. It's not a true matte as far as OPI. I feel like lacked is the richest matte. I love it. Okay, so we've got our matte on here, and now we're going to go with our second layer of ink directly over the matte. And again, we're going to, oh my God, my dog is really begging for some love here. Oh, you sweet boy. Okay, I'm busy though. All right, sorry about that. Doesn't sound good. No, that doesn't. It doesn't. By the way, with matte nails, and I love how these look matte. By the way, I think they're really cool. But care and upkeep of matte nails, just wanted to let you know, to maintain the matte finish of your matte nails, avoid using oil, grease, lotions. That is going to ruin the finish of your matte. It's going to make them shiny and you're not going to have matte nails anymore. How do you upkeep your matte nails? Hand sanitizer if you want. Just make sure you wipe them down with hand sanitizer to keep that matte dried finish. Also, dish soap. Dish soap is really great at cutting oil, so use some dish soap on your nails. The rubbing alcohol is good for removing any sort of stains. Again, it's because it's matte, it's going to be porous, and it's not going to be impervious to stains. So matte nails, they look so sexy and so beautiful in light colors. However, longevity-wise, they don't wear. They don't wear great. You really have to keep up with keeping your light matte clean. All right, so here's our second layer. This layer is going to be a little bit more puddly when we use our our acetone. Again, I like to work the edges of the ink. And then I like to use what's still on my brush to kind of add a little bit more of like a ghost vein. The purpose of this, at least for me, in this step, I'm trying to add a little bit more opacity, a little bit more interesting vein where it's slightly cloudy, more like you would see on a real nail. And I'm noticing that this nail doesn't have a lot of movement down here. So I'm going to add a little bit more ink to that part of the nail so I have a little bit more interest. And it doesn't take a lot. And I think I might even do it here because this is where I know the natural nail, the smile line, is going to be. And if I can put some ink there to kind of obscure that, then the wearer can still have a sheer nail without seeing their real nail through it. That's one of the things about clear nails is jelly nails, is that you're going to see your natural nail through it, and they look best when you clip your natural nail down really tight. So that's this nail. We've got some movement. In fact, you know what? I kind of feel like it's got too much diagonal. So I'm just going to obscure that a little bit more. But see what I mean? It's really easy to fuss so much, especially when you're doing a black marble over a white nail. That, it takes me forever because I fuss with it too much. So during the pandemic, you notice drugstore brands have decided to make their own press-on nail products. Any advice to buyers or press-on nail artists on how to keep up with big companies? Here's my advice. You can't. You cannot keep up with a big company simply because they're mass produced. And I don't think you should. Well, it's just not possible. You can't keep up. I think it needs to be you need to do a good job of educating your clients through your branding process of the difference between a drugstore nail. And by the way, I am not going to shade a drugstore nail. I'm not going to shade it because there's some really great drugstore nails out there, and they're great for one-time use. I don't know if you're one of those people who are like, oh, I can wear them for like a week, for 2 weeks, and you're not washing dishes, you're not using hairspray, and you're sure as shit not cleaning toilets, right? But a drugstore press-on nail, okay, yeah, I mean, they're great in a quick sort of pinch, but and I do sell a ready-to-wear line. It is a little bit different from drugstore nails, but I curate a line of different nails that I like the shape, I like the color, I like the size, or I mean the length. So those are not handmade, and those I can get out to you quicker. And you'll see that the price reflects that. The price reflects that it's not handmade. But they are nice quality and they're good. But if you have the time and you want to spend a little bit more on a nail that's made explicitly just for you, then I recommend handmade. Why do I like handmade with salon products over press-on drugstore quality? I live in California. And here in particular, well, really all of you should be wearing sunscreen, right? But when you wear sunscreen, have you ever tried to put sunscreen over regular nail polish or any sort of plastic product? Maybe your kid's hair you do in braids with those cute little rubber bands. Well, sunscreen eats it. It eats and dissolves certain plastics. And if you think that you're going to be able to wear a drugstore press-on nail and use these corrosive products, whether it be sunscreen, hairspray, or even acetone, if you've ever like smushed out too much glue during the application process, you cannot wipe around the cuticle without eating the nail. Handmade gels are impervious, or maybe not totally impervious, but they are resistant to acetone. So if you get glue on your cuticle and you need to wipe that off, you can do a gentle wipe with acetone to wipe that extra glue off, and it's not going to eat the nail. You can use hairspray and it's not going to mess with the finish, and you can use sunscreen and it's not going to mess with the finish, and you're going to have a long-lasting shine on your nail. That's the difference between drugstore. Also, you don't have to friggin' root through all the different sizes. You tell me your sizes, I lay them out and in order. I recommend that you should always do a dry fit. I'm just going to put that under the light so it can dry quickly. Good questions, though. Angela Glam, which is Rachel, says that she's tried the drugstore nails a few times in the past and they don't stay on well and they're hard to take off. So you just stop buying them. Okay, so why are drugstore nails difficult to stay on? And that's because when they create them a lot in the process, sometimes the shine that they're using on the top, it somehow gets on the bottom layer. So when you flip that press-on nail, if it's too shiny on the underside, it's going to be hard to get it to stick and stay on your nails. So yeah, these do stay on, in my opinion, better. But again, follow proper prepping application. Don't be sticking your hands in water like 20 minutes after you applied your nails. That's not going to contribute to the longevity of your nails lasting. All right, so moving on to the next step. So again, just a reminder, we base coated, we alcohol inked. Over the alcohol ink, we added one layer of the green. Then after we cured that green, we used these 3 different colors where we just kind of shadowed along the white vein. Cured that. Then we went in with a matte top coat, to do the second layer of alcohol ink, which is more diffused. It's softer, a little bit different technique. Oh, thank you. I know. Look at, I've been married now. Holy shit. So long. I got married in 98. So 22 and a half years almost. I think it's time for a new setting, no? But I don't actually even wear it that often. Thank you for noticing. I don't wear it that often. I don't wear jewelry that much just because I'm constantly washing my hands. Okay, so let's move on. Sorry. So the next layer is the green again. And this is why, this is where you're going to kind of reveal what you've accomplished. It's a little bit challenging with that matte coat to see where did that white go? How much white have you fogged? And I'm basically out of green, so I'm going to need to create some more green. So I'm probably going to stop my live after I finish this one last nail. So see, now that I've painted that, you can see all this really cool movement. You can see the olivey green under there. I can tell that I've used my brighter green there, but it's trapped under in all these interesting layers. Now, if you're going to add the little gold flakes, I recommend that you do it now, and that I use the term impregnate it. You impregnate this specific layer while it is wet before curing with your little gold flakes. And the reason why I say that is because when you use these gold flakes, you want to also cap them with gel. And again, the goal for these press-on nails is to achieve interest and layers while also not making it too thick. So if I were to cure this and then lay this down, then I'd have to do at least 2 more coats over it, which if we've got the base, 2 greens, and a matte, we're already at 4 coats. I don't want a nail that's got like 7 coats of polish on it. I try and avoid that. Simply just because it produces a thick nail. It's okay to be thicker at the tip, but in the nail plate, you want it to be thinner so it's flexible, it's comfortable, and it looks nice at the cuticle. So these are all these sort of things that you think about when creating. Yeah, magic gold dust, like little flakes. If you put all these flakes on, you can burnish them in and it can create like a full chrome nail. But these are just like little tiny flakes the way I use them. I just use a brush I just tap it into the gel, and that's enough to help these flakes stick. Do you grind your flakes to get it so tiny? Actually, good point. No. These ones came like that, but yeah, sometimes you'll pick one up and the flakes are too big, so I'll set them down and I'll use the back side of this to kind of break it up. But yeah, absolutely. I don't like too big of flakes personally. And I do find that this gives a little bit better look. Oh, let me just make sure. See, I don't know if you could tell from this peripheral vision here, or I mean the side view here. You can see the flakes are kind of standing up a little bit. So I'm going to pat them down just a little bit. Pat them down into the gel, let them kind of melt in there so that when I put my top coat, I don't have like these pointy, and I don't have to top coat and then buff and then top coat. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of sparkle, right? And sometimes I can overthink how much gold am I putting? Is that too much gold? So we're just close to the end on this nail. Let's see. Curing that for 30 seconds. Thanks for your patience. All right, cool. So this is the part where you can either top coat it, or you can decide that it's just not visually interesting enough. It doesn't have enough depth, movement. And if that's the case, then you can come on in with your palette again and add a little bit more. Like for me, I think it's great. I worry that this area might be too see-through, and I want the client to be able to wear these while kind of camouflaging the smile line. And I also didn't think I had enough of this blue, sagey blue in this one. So I'm just going to kind of hug that vein right there, and then offload some, and then just kind of bounce. But you don't want to hit over your gold. At least I don't, because I like the sparkle. Oh my God, like, see, that's what I mean. This is like the smallest, tiniest detail, but it will make a difference when the client wears it. It's just gonna obscure that smile line a little bit. So you can go through each of those nails and make sure that it looks sufficiently covered to where you're not gonna see that line, you know, at the smile. And so this is the set that I'm gonna do the green coat, impregnate it with the gold flakes, top coat it, it'll be done. One of the things that I want to mention when you're top coating, let's bring these back. I'm going to finish the rest of these offline because I do have to get moving with the rest of these orders that I got to jam out today. When you're top coating, and when you're top coating specifically jelly nails, I think it's really important to paint the backside. Why do I paint the backside? And I even kind of tap it so it kind of pools right there. I tap it where the number is. And I do that because I want to obscure that number. I think it's so tacky when you can see the nail number through the nail tip. So it's not a requirement that you drill it out and then top coat it. If you just hit it, nudge it with your top coat, it kind of melts around there and makes a tip more see-through. So if you're looking for that jelly look, it really makes it super clear on the backside. But it also obscures that number so that your client doesn't feel silly about that number showing. Not that there's like a nail sizism or anything, but it's just I don't like the plastic number showing through. What questions before I take off can I answer for you? I appreciate you joining me today on my live. I appreciate your support and just like engagement. I really do. Let me know what other questions you have before I go, because I think we're hitting a moment where I probably need to save this, even though I had more distractions in the background on this one. I will save it momentarily so that if you want to review the steps. And if you haven't already checked out Dyme, D-Y-M-E, Dyme Nails, she's pretty amazing at her marbling techniques. They're gorgeous, and she achieves it through several layers, which I think it's mind-blowing. I've taken a class of hers, and some of the techniques that I used here today are her techniques. Not in the same order, not in the same layers, subtly different, but nevertheless, we all kind of build and grow our skills. I feel like this method that I've created helps to create a nail that is thin still, but has several layers of interest and dimension, so we can create that marble or that jade or that stone effect without being too friggin' thick. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you for joining me.